that was hurtful, very devastating to endure. Because I love my dog. I'm a dog lover. I had him hyped for years. So losing him, that was tough. So my late husband felt so bad. He felt so bad because we loved that dog. The kids were sad. I was sad. He had went to go get the dog and everything for us, you know. And that's another thing. So I got in the house, saw my late husband laying there, lifeless, with his eyes open. It was a nightmare. Like, he had got my dog, our dog, another dog, and then a month later he passed. I can't tell y'all the nightmare of seeing somebody you love laying there lifeless with their eyes open and not moving. It's the worst pain ever. But I want to help somebody that's going through experience losing somebody, because you just gonna help somebody. And like I told you, it gets better in time. It gets a little easier, but it never goes away. Um, so I was lashing out. I was angry, and when I started beating his chest, telling him to wake up, I was like, "Wake up, wake up, wake up!" Beating his chest, telling him to wake up. Don't leave me. He didn't wake up, and then next thing you know, the ambulance people finally came. They finally came. I cursed them out. I yelled at them. I'm like, what took y'all so long? Y'all are right around the corner. What took y'all so long? I was so angry, upset, and hysterical. And my youngest son, he ended up coming in because that's what made it more sad for me. That's what helped me get myself together. My youngest son was outside playing. He didn't even know. He had no idea what was going on because he was outside the whole time because he loved being outside with his friends, which I'm kind of glad he was because he was younger. It was hard for my oldest son too, but he's a strong young man, very mature and strong for his age, but I think he was able to handle it more because he was older. I don't know. But my young son did come in and saw his father laying there. The dog ran over to him, started licking him, trying to make him move. We had to get him. And my youngest son got our puppy. And I saw him crying, looking at his daddy. So at that moment, I had to get myself together. I had to get myself together at that moment for my boys. I had to get control, but I couldn't stand there. They wouldn't allow me to stay, so they sent me outside in the car while they try to work on him. I'm out there just praying. I'm out there just praying, y'all, just praying, just pleading to God, like God, I'm a believer. You know, He's a believer. He's a good man. He's a good husband, a good father, Lord. Like, I just knew God was gonna come through. Even though, but when I saw his eyes open on the floor, I just knew he was gone. But I still just had that crazy faith that God was gonna work some kind of miracle out. So I was just praying. That's the only thing I had left is just a little hope from praying to God. I just had that little hope. They brought him out. Now, when I was in there, his eyes was open. When they brought him out on the bed to take him down to the hospital, his eyes was closed. think they knew because they closed his eyes. Now, my oldest son said that he still had a thing going to where he was still barely alive, still breathing like a little bit. I guess, I don't know, still alive or something. So I had hope. But I still, when I saw his eyes closed, that they closed it, they was taking down. They would not allow me to ride with him. They would not allow me to ride with him. So, because it was, an ambulance there, my neighbor, my son's friend, mom came to where I was. She said I was crying. I told her what happened. I told her they won't allow me to go down with him to the hospital. So she drove me down there. I was too hysterical to drive. The whole time down there, I'm praying. And she praying and touching agreement with me the whole time down there. The whole time. I get down there. I go inside at the desk at the Mercy part. Because, of course, they there before I got there. So I'm here for my husband. Such, his name is such. I'm here for him. They brought him in. I need to know he okay. They brought him down. I need to know he okay. I need to know he okay. And they said, calm down, ma'am. Okay, what's his name again? I told them his name. They got on the phone. They called whoever they called. The doctor, I guess, whoever was saying about him, working on him, whatever. She gave me this look. Now, keep in mind, right there by the emergency room at the desk where I asked her about this at, it was right across from the lobby, the waiting room. So, because she worked there, she knows the protocols. She understands the protocol of things. And when she got off the phone, I saw her face. Her face changed. But she was trying to keep her professional composure. So she said, well, ma'am, I'm going to have you go inside this room right here for me, and the doctor's going to come down and talk to you. At that moment, I felt even worse than I had felt. I can't even describe the pain, the feeling that I felt. Because I'm like, okay, if the lobby and the waiting room is right across from where she's at, why didn't she tell me go in the waiting room? The lobby, why wouldn't she have me, why would she have me go inside this room? So I went in there. The police who came down with me too, who was there, who came to the scene, whatever, they had me fill out some papers, to talk about like what goes on the report, like what happened, and everything. I had to fill that out. The police report out like what happened, That was so hard to do. But the police officer, he felt so bad for me. He was there at the house. He saw how I was crying and screaming. He just felt so bad for me. So he tried to stay there with me and console me. But I had to fill the paperwork out. Okay, fast forward, moving along. The doctor came down. He came in with 2 nurses with him. Now, only time I've been to the hospital is when I was younger and had to stay there a lot of times when I had asthma attacks. But I've watched enough movies and TV shows to know that when the doctor come down and had to talk to you and he had a nurse with you and the look on their face, I know what that means. And I'm usually on the movies and TVs, they about to tell you some bad news. But me still being the faithful woman of God I am, still just hoping for a miracle, I was willing to listen. He came and he looked at me. I guess he knows I was a young widow, so it made it even more hard for him. Because I can imagine it's never easy for them to give bad news to family or loved ones. And by him seeing me being a young woman, he knew that I was now a young widow. He told me, he took a deep breath like this. He said, he looked at me, he said, and instead of him coming out like some doctors would do when you see on TV and say, I'm afraid I got some bad news, he just came straight out with it and said, your husband has passed away. And when he said your husband has passed away, I was in shock because me and my husband, we always grieved other people that passed away. We always looked at the news and was touched and empathetic and sympathetic towards others who lost loved ones, but we never thought it would hit home. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't register to me right away. I was in shock. I was in totally shock. So when he said your husband has passed away, I said, what do you mean he passed away? Well, go get him back. And he was like, ma'am, it's not that simple. I said, yes, it is. Go bring him back. You the doctor. And they was like, ma'am, we tried everything. We tried everything that we could. And he was, to be honest with you, he was pretty much about gone when he got here. He's not coming back. I'm so sorry to tell you that. So when he told me that my late husband wasn't coming back, my children's father, my soulmate, who I thought was my soulmate, my best friend, my rock, my strength, I looked at him for a second. I said, ma'am, are you all right? And then that's when I just dropped down on my knees and I screamed. I screamed like I never screamed before in my life because that's when I realized it was real. I screamed so loud. It was so hard for him to calm me down. They had to send a chaplain down there. The chaplain lady, she was very sweet. It kind of worked for a second. It worked for a second and she was praying with me and it was working, but the reality that was sent in, it was not helping. Then I don't know who told my brother lives out of town. But some reason he was in town. I didn't even know he was in town. But God had worked things out the way he do things. He was in just so happened to be in town and he found out. I think my son might have called him. He came right away. And I thank God because I was losing my mind in the hospital. They couldn't hold me. I was on my knees crying. They couldn't get a hold of me because I was not trying to accept or believe what they was telling me, but I knew what they was telling me was real, and it was hard to digest. It was hard to breathe. My brother came in. He tried to calm me down. I saw him trying to keep his composure. I know it was hard for him because he loved my late husband too. He knew him too. That was his brother-in-law for 15 years. He knew him. He knew the great person he was. He knew how much I loved him, how much we loved each other, the great man he was. So it was hard for him to try to be strong for me. My older cousin Chris, he came down with my brother to help because I met him through my cousin Chris. He found out about it. He came down there. My brother couldn't really. My brother, he was trying to hold his composure from crying. But me, because he had never seen me cry and scream like that ever. And I remember after my late husband passed, I remember my cousin them told me that he told them that he had never ever seen me cry. He's seen me cry many times, but he had never ever seen me scream and cry like that. And he felt helpless. So he had to get my cousin to grab hold of me. My cousin, he took me to the ladies' restroom. He wasn't supposed to be in there, but he had to help me get myself together. And he did. He explained to the ladies what was going on. He had to get myself together. They was like, they was just looking at me. And he finally got him to get together to me outside. Anyway, that was just a terrible feeling. I can't. So those of you who have lost loved ones, I can't say that it's easy. I can't say it's going to be easy. I can't say when it's going to get easy. I just can let you know that I sympathize and I can relate. But I can tell you that although it's not easy and you don't know when it's going to get easy, but I can say that it does get easy with time. When my late husband passed, it was a nightmare. I wanted to die. I didn't want to live anymore, even though I had two amazing young men and my boys who depended on me, who were still minors. I wanted to give up. I'm not even gonna lie. I never think that I ever get to that place in my life to where I ever want to give up on life. That's not me. I'm a strong-minded person. I'm a strong woman of God. I always have been. I've always been strong, even when I was younger. Me not wanting to be in this world no more would never have crossed my mind. And I never thought I would feel that way, especially with me having children. But it did cross my mind because I had lost my rock, my best friend. This was so unreal to me. Like I didn't know how to digest that. I didn't know how to move on. I didn't know how to go on. I tried. And so when you lose somebody so close to you and you go to sleep, you know when you're asleep, you don't know what's going on because you're asleep. But when you wake up from sleeping, you're forced to face that reality again that you lost your loved one. So I'll fall asleep and then I'll wake up. And I'll wake up and I'm like, and then I remember, because my husband was always next to me. So when you sleep, you forget things. I forgot that he was gone. I got to get used to him being gone. So I was asleep. I didn't remember. I woke up. I looked to reach for him and he wasn't there. And that's when I realized, oh my God, he is really gone and he's not ever coming back. And when that reality hit me that he was never coming back, that I was never gonna see my husband, my best friend, my rock, my children's father again, I wanted to die. I'm not even gonna lie. I was so weak at that moment. I wanted to die. I was angry with God every day that I woke up. I'm like, why am I still here? I just want to go and be with my husband. I don't want to face this world without him. I know I got children. I even told myself and convinced myself in my mind that I got a good brother. And he's going to take care of my children for me. I had already made plans and arrangements in my mind that my children was going to be okay. And my brother would take care of them. I kept waking up. He would not allow me to die. Now, although I was grieving, although I was so hurt and sad, I still wasn't weak enough to the point to where I would kill myself, let's say. I'm not strong enough to slice my wrist. I don't like pain. So regardless if I didn't want to be here no more or not, I couldn't do that. But I had thought about taking pills. I had thought about taking a bunch of pills. But because I am a child of God, and I know that that's a sin to kill yourself. And I know where you would go if you do that because murder is a sin, regardless if you do it to someone else or yourself. And I knew that if I done that, then I definitely wasn't going to see my late husband again. So I was begging and pleading for God to just take me naturally. So every day that I woke up and he allowed me to wake up, the more and more angry I got from him. I got with him. The more and more angry and upset that I got with him. I did. The more and more upset that I got with him. With God. Because he didn't take me away like I wanted him to take me away so I can be with my husband. I was laying there, lashing out, crying, saying, please take me away. It didn't happen. So one day, my kids was back at the house after taking a little break with my brother to give me some time to grieve to myself. Because I never wanted to cry in front of them. I wanted to be strong in front of them no matter how hard it was. And I went to go check on my boys. They were asleep. It was summertime when my late husband passed. They were asleep. Sleeping good. I went downstairs, inside my bathroom downstairs to cry to myself, but silently. You know, I wanted to sniff silently to myself so the boys wouldn't hear me. I made sure they were asleep. As I was downstairs on the toilet, I wasn't using it. I had the lid down, but I was sitting on the toilet, like, you know, I'm just, I got snot coming down, to them, because I don't want my boys to hear me grieve over their father because they was being so strong. I had to remain strong for them. But as I was down there weeping to myself silently, now keep in mind I had checked on my kids, they were asleep. My oldest, I heard a knock on the door, jump. I had the bathroom door closed. It was my oldest son. So I'm hurry up trying to wipe my eyes, and, I'm trying to wipe the snot, from crying silently to myself so my son wouldn't see me. He said, I said, yeah. He said, Mama, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. Was you okay? And he was like, I said, I thought you was asleep. He was like, I was asleep. But my dad woke me up. And I was like, what? So at that moment, I'm like, oh God, okay. I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, at that moment, I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting here boohooing, crying, grieving, but my son is here in denial. Thinking his dad is still here. So I told him, so I opened the door and I said, son, your dad is not here. And he said, I know. I said, but he's here. He said, he spoke to me in my sleep a few minutes ago. He told me that you was down here crying. And I said, what? My son told me that he woke up for a brief moment, but he fell back to sleep. And he said he normally don't do that because once he get up, he's up. But he said, you know how I normally wake up, Mom, and I fall back to sleep? I be up. He said, but this time I fell back to sleep without trying to. He said, when I closed my eyes, I saw this bright light. He said, I saw this bright light. I said, okay. He said, and I was so in awe with the brightness of the light. He said, and he heard my late husband calling him. My late husband would always call him. He was the oldest. My late husband would always call my oldest son to go check on me. Like if I'm walking the dog outside, or if I'm outside, or whatever I'm doing, he would always send my oldest son to go check on me. My oldest son said he was calling him in his dream when he closed his eyes. This one I was downstairs crying to myself. I was crying out loud. They can hear me. he said that he told me, he called my name. He said I was so in awe. He had to keep calling me, and then he said I looked around, so like he said, and when I looked, I saw gold. Like I saw something that looked like the Golden Gate Bridge or something. Like it was just gold. And he said then he saw my late husband. He said he didn't see his whole body. He said he just saw him from the chest up. And he said he had on the wife beater t-shirt that he had on that he passed in. He had that on. And he said he told him this specifically. And my son don't make up lies stuff like that. My son don't even really talk a lot. So I knew that he wasn't lying about what he told me that my late husband told me in his dream, and I was crying. My late husband was on his feet a lot. His feet hurt a lot all the time, every night. He started standing on the light and he didn't have no arch, so I would always rub his feet. I would always massage his feet when he come home. Excuse me, I have allergies. I would always massage his feet in order for, that's the only way he can go to sleep. And I used to always tell him the next day, you fall asleep every time I rub your feet. How you gonna know if it feel good or not? You know, if you fall asleep. Because I gave you the worst. And he would be like, and he told me, he said, no, don't stop rubbing my feet. He said, because, I know you did a good job. I said, how you know if you fell asleep? He was like, because when I wake up, my feet feel like heaven.